Hi, I'm Bart Hansen. I'm the owner and lead instructor for CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the instructions in the video description.
So we got a hand. This is down in San Diego. It's a private home game,
Okay.
and it's 10-20. Sometimes there's a 40 straddle.
Okay.
But this hand's just 10-20.
Okay.
Effective stacks is the villain. He is on the button, and I cover him. I'm in middle position. He's got 2K. I'm in middle position with ace, jack of hearts.
Okay.
It folds to me, and I open to 70.
So button straddle goes through the blinds, right?
No, there's no straddle.
Oh, no straddle
in
this hand. My bad. All right.
Yeah.
So just folds to you. Hero opens
Mm-hmm.
from mid position with ace jack.
Ace, jack of hearts.
Okay.
And I open to 70.
Okay.
Folds to the button,
Okay.
who is the only caller.
Button
Blinds fold.
calls. Okay.
And so we go to the flop with 170 in the pot,
Yep.
including the blinds. And the flop is king of hearts, 9 of clubs, and deuce of diamonds.
Okay. So rainbow board, king high board, king of hearts, nine of clubs, deuce of diamonds. You have, we talk about structuring sort of a c-betting type of range. The newer school thought is to be more thoughtful, right, about it. Do it with some backdoors if you have it. And you do have one of the backdoors, which is obviously the advantage of having, raising suited hands, right? You've got ace, jack of hearts, you've got backdoor heart draw, right? Backdoor royal draw, some straightening draws. Pretty good sort of board for you as well. So I would probably c-bet here a lot.
That was all of my thoughts as well. Thought it was a perfect board. So I went ahead and bet 60. I down bet a little bit, a little over third pot.
Okay.
Not sure I love the sizing, but that's what I did.
Okay.
And the villain thinks for a few seconds and calls.
So button calls. So there's nothing obviously wrong with down betting. You see it more in 3-bet pots, but in a single raise pot, I mean, I don't hate it if you're going to barrel, the right turns. You just have to understand that, your opponent is going to be definitely rather wide here, so you get like a cheaper price on your bluffs if you do down bet. Like I don't expect him to fold any pair, even though he probably should be folding, I would say pairs maybe like eights and below here. Obviously, any 9 is a call because it's going to be a 5-out draw. Gut shots, queen, jack, any of that stuff, Broadway should all be calls too.
Right.
Yep.
So we go to the turn. There's now about 290 in there.
Uh-huh.
And it's the 7 of hearts.
Okay, so you pick your backdoor up.
Yep.
Yep.
And I think that's a great card for me to bluff.
Yep.
So I decide that down bet the turn so that I could size up a little bit or down bet the flop so I could size up a little bit on the turn.
Uh-huh.
And so I bet 180.
180 into about 260-ish, right?
260, 290 if you include the 10, 20 blinds.
Oh, okay. So hero bets 180. So about a 2/3 pot size bet.
Yep.
Okay. It's interesting. I mean, you definitely have some stack depth left to, on the river. Now, I don't know if he's supposed to be continuing to call with 9s. Maybe it's like, partials and things like that, but he's certainly supposed to be folding off, his gut shots, any marginal stuff that he was holding on to.
Yeah, so at this point, I'm kind of, putting him on just single paired kings, king, queen, king, jack, king, 10, maybe some 9x hands, but after the call and the turn, I discounted that greatly.
So you bet 180 in button calls. I don't think we said that. So button calls, right?
Yeah, button calls.
Okay, so button calls. So now the pot's like 360 plus like 290. It's what, like 650-ish? Something like that? Okay.
650, yeah.
Yep.
So, and then the river is what I think to be a fairly interesting card. It's the ace of diamonds.
Ace of diamonds. Okay, so you run into top pair, basically.
Right.
I mean, this is interesting here because, I would imagine, some people do flat with ace king on the button, and you're obviously supposed to do it some of the time, whereas you're supposed to 3-bet off quite a bit to promote your position. It's such a small portion of his range, right? Because it's going to be 3-bet off a ton.
Right.
Some people might even raise at some point to post flop. So, with you having an ace blocker, and then also he can't really have like nine, he can't have like ace nine of hearts, right? Because,
No, he can only have ace nine of spades.
right, you can't really have like the back doors.
Diamond.
Excuse me, he can't really have the back door. So, I mean, you definitely have the best hand here. But the question now is that like, what should your sizing be in reality? Because, when you
Right.
look at sort of theoretical MDF in a spot like this, if an opponent is structuring sort of their like calling frequencies all the way down the line, they're supposed to probably call with some kings, even to like a 2/3 or even a pot size bet, because they're getting there. Like if they had king queen, like this is one of the best hands they're getting there with. You know what I mean? But in reality, that just doesn't really happen. So I might take an exploitable sort of smaller size unless I'm playing against a player that understands that and knows that they're supposed to sort of call on the wider side. You know what I mean? Like you got to sort of suss out the player.
Right. So this guy, I've only played with him this session. I've played at this home game a few times, but he's only been there for about an hour. I've not really played with him that much. I do have a bit of a bluffy image. I'm a fairly active player.
Okay.
So I kind of wanted to represent that, which, again, thinking that he's got a lot of single paired kings, the flush draw missed.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to size up to make it look like a bluff because I thought that there's 95% of the time I've got the best hand here.
Well,
So
you
I
say the
actually
flush
bet
draw.
five
You say the flush draw missed. There was no flush draw on the flop. I mean, the back door
on the
missed.
turn. Yeah.
Right, but I mean, then it's like,
Yeah.
well, he's really hero calling down because if he can't beat an ace and you were continuing to barrel the nut flush draw, you're sort of run into it, right? Like there's only a couple hands that you're going to have, sort of as played.
My thinking's probably a little flawed, but I think I do have queen jack of hearts, jack 10 of hearts, maybe queen 10 of hearts sometimes, although not that often, 10-8 of hearts. So I think I do have some fair amount of heart bluffs there.
Well, listen, if you think you have a bluffy image, obviously, like if you want to increase your win rate in live poker, I've always talked about this, that you sort of want to depolarize. Like there are people in your spot that aren't going to make over an 80% pot size bet with a single pair here. So then your opponent's reaction sometimes is that they're just going to call like a lot lighter because they don't see, like he might think you have ace king or nothing, right? Ace king plus here. And if he thinks you have ace king plus and he's going to call down, even though he doesn't really know what the word polarization means, then I can sort of see it. In the heat of the moment, I would probably bet 375 to 400. What was your choice? 350 to 400?
590.
Okay, so you bet close to pot.
Yeah.
Okay. And what ended up happening?
He snap called.
Okay.
With 9-7 of diamonds.
Well, I mean, obviously he has to snap call there with 9-7 of diamonds, right?
Right. Yeah.
The question is that bet going to get called by a king? I mean, that's what you really have to, when you go back and look in the studying, is like, is that bet going to get called by a king, or is it a little bit more efficient to, bet kind of on the smaller side too? And then sometimes too, you get like the best of both worlds, right? Because if the huge bet's not going to get called by a king, and now, you're getting only called by like a hand like 9-7, if you make the smaller bet, I still don't think 9-7's raising you, right? So you get called by a king and you lose less when you're behind, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of what my thinking was I probably should have kept it around half pot, maybe a little over half pot. I still like a bet on the river because I still think I'm good most of the time.
Anybody, I mean, I see a couple people in chat saying,
oversized.
I see a couple people saying in chat saying, check the river. No way. There's no way this is a check on the river. It can't be a check. You've got to not be afraid of opening the betting back up. And I just don't see really like a whole lot that's going to bluff really all that much here when you check two on this run out. It would have been interesting like if you got raised on the river. People used to give CLP a lot of shit about like, oh, Bart always says bet fold, bet fold. I'll be going over a hand, I think, tomorrow on one of my shotgun podcasts of 5-5 where I actually bet call for, and I'll explain it. It ended up being king 9. You know, if you get raised on the river here, especially to your sizing, it's really crazy, right? Because it's like who basically jams over the top to your sizing, but he's not really
Right.
representing much because you block a lot of the back doors. But I mean, he could have a slow played set, I guess. But a lot of people, if they're going to have a slow played set and then you run out king ace, they'll still just call at the end to a pot size bet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But the
for
guy's not
sure.
that deep, so. Anyways,
Yeah.
I just think that I might size down a little bit. What did the CLP people say in Discord, by the way?
A lot of people kind of advocated for a third size to a half pot size bet on the river.
Yeah,
Not too many people said anything about checking, which
yeah.
I
Oh,
agree with.
yeah, for sure. Thanks for the call, buddy. I appreciate it. First time caller, Tony,
All right.
there. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA200. Click on the link right there.